All right, Colts Nation, it is Saturday. You know what that means. It means that we've got one more night of sleep before we finally get to watch our 1-1 Indianapolis Colts play another game of football. And as we all know, I'm not breaking any news to you, but it is official. Anthony Richardson will not be the starting quarterback tomorrow. Now, of course, this is not ideal. This is not what we wanted during week 3 of the season, but this is ultimately where we are as a team going into this game against the Ravens. And not for anything, if there's any backup in the league that you would want in this moment, it's Gardner Minshew. And I think Gardner gets a lot of flack for his career record, despite the fact that we all acknowledge he was with Jacksonville during a very, very rough stretch. And despite the fact that in Philly last year, even though he was 0-2 as a starter for them, he was able to put up some good stuff. I mean, Dallas's defense, all the praise they're getting this year, they were really just as great last year. The only piece they added that really put them over the top was Stephon Gilmore from us in that trade for the 5th rounder. This was a very good Dallas defense last year, and he was able to drop 34 against them in this Shane Steichen offense. And despite the fact that we know Gardner Minshew may not have the talent of Anthony Richardson, if you were to ask Gardner Minshew, and this is what I love about this guy, if you were to ask him one-on-one, private conversation, even though he's a professional, even though he's selfless, even though he's taking this opportunity to teach Anthony Richardson and be a partner to him in that regard, if you were to ask Gardner Minshew, he believes that he can be the guy for a franchise and not for anything. Having been drafted in 2020, we talk about him being the veteran. Gardner Minshew is a younger guy himself, I believe 26 years of age, 27 years of age. Not saying he's the Colts franchise quarterback. It's not my point in all of this, but you have a guy that's young and hungry and has gotten some good reps and understands this offense, and dare I say, was able to come in last week and run the offense a little bit more efficiently than Richardson. Now, we know on the ground he doesn't bring the same chops, but as far as completions goes, as far as moving the chains goes, and as far as knowing that he's going to be seeing what the defense is doing on each individual play, Minshew might be the better option from that perspective specifically than Anthony Richardson is for this offense. And when you're the backup quarterback and you go through a week of practice, particularly during the regular season, it's not like you're getting a lot of reps with the ones. Now, of course, he did in the offseason, so a bit of an advantage to Minshew on that front. But going into a regular season game, you don't get those reps. So it speaks to his mindset that I was talking about before, and it speaks to his preparation and just the type of guy he is, that he was able to come in and really play at a very, very high level, albeit against the Houston Texans. So the question becomes, this week against the Ravens, what does the absence of Anthony Richardson mean for the Colts offense? How much does it change what Shane Steichen might try to do? How much does it change which players we expect to produce and be involved in the offense? And then most importantly, can it still be enough to beat these Baltimore Ravens? So that's what we're going to be talking about in this episode. This is the morning episode. Hopefully I get this out to you before 12 o'clock. I think later tonight for you night owls, I'll probably have out another one before the game. I mean, you know, I wanted to get you something throughout the week. I don't have a great excuse, and if I did, I know you guys don't want to hear it, but a very, very hectic week for me. You know, I did think that during the regular season, topics were just going to pop up to talk about all the time, but quite frankly, other than the Richardson concussion this week, you tell me what there was to talk about. That was something really, really cool. I mean, we got a Captain Andrew Luck sighting. That was awesome to see him be like, the war is over. Watch him play into this character on an NFL stage. I mean, that was cool to see, but is that an episode? I don't think so. So for me, it was kind of like I was maybe able to get one out by Thursday, but I figured by Thursday, I might as well just wait till the weekend and get it done. So I apologize to any of you who lost sleep not seeing me throughout the course of the week, but I'm going to get you 2 today to knock it up to 3 episodes for the week. So my name is Justin. This right here is the Riding the Bench Colts cast. As always, if you're enjoying it, go ahead, shoot a like. If you're here for the 3rd time, the N-teenth time, right? X-teenth time, whatever you want to call it. If you are here multiple times, go ahead, shoot the subscription. Maybe now is the time. If not, maybe next time. But most importantly, just enjoy the video. I want to start this episode off by talking about the differences in this offense between Minshew and Richardson. Like, what's the difference between what they bring to the table? None of this is groundbreaking stuff, but I'll kind of work it into how it applies to the game at hand that we have coming up. So you look at Richardson. I think what was so exciting about the matchup against Baltimore was the potential of watching Richardson versus Lamar Jackson. I mean, these are two guys Richardson is on record saying Lamar Jackson is a guy who inspired him. You even heard Lamar Jackson this week saying that hearing that actually made him feel a little bit old. Lamar Jackson, once upon a time before Richardson, was considered to be not just the young quarterback, but like one of the younger. Lamar, don't forget, also was starting very, very young. So we think about the running ability from Anthony Richardson and how that might change the offense. Obviously, you're not going to be running the read option. You see some of the QB sweeps that they're running. These won't be a part of the game plan this week against the Baltimore Ravens. Now, another thing we think about, at least from a physical standpoint, that Anthony Richardson brings to this offense that Minshew won't, is that ability to push the football down the field. But the thing about it, quite frankly, is that in the first 2 weeks, we have not seen Anthony Richardson do that. It seems, at least in my estimation, though, guys, those of you who have been following around with the film breakdowns, look at me speaking like an idiot right now. Those of you who have been following along with the film breakdowns have seen why I've come to this conclusion. If not, go ahead and watch them. What I notice is that in situations where they're in manageable yardage, let's say like a 2nd and 5, Anthony Richardson seems to get fixated on the part of the field that is the first down, that 5 to 10 yard range, and he'll miss stuff down the field. But then when they're in a 3rd and 15 situation, he's looking down the field and kind of sticks to it and has a tough time coming down on his progression and coming to these checkdowns. So it's been a struggle for him to get the ball down the field, mostly because I feel like, despite the fact that I think he's seeing things properly, that second level of it and just figuring out how to get someone open down the field, how to see someone open down the field, at least in real speed. I'm sure in theory, Anthony Richardson gets this just fine. If you get him in the film room, I'm sure he's a whiz. But in terms of putting it together on Sunday is a much different thing. That's a beast. That's a different animal. He's not quite there yet. I think the processing is there, and I think his instincts are there. But I think he'll take someone open as opposed to finding the guy that is the best opportunity. I'm not sure how much sense that makes, but I'm going to roll with it on that explanation right there. Point being is that I don't think our down the field passing game, at least as it stands right now, is going to be any worse with Gardner Minshew than it is Anthony Richardson. It might actually be better because I trust Gardner Minshew to understand all facets of that given play, given the way the defense is playing it. I trust him on that more right now than I do Anthony Richardson. So now the question becomes, do the Colts actually end up with a better chance against Baltimore to put up some points with Gardner Minshew than with Anthony Richardson? Now, I know that sounds like some sort of clickbaity type of question, but short of the ability to run the football, and I said this from the start, as it stands right now, other than physical ability, what exactly does Anthony Richardson do better than Gardner Minshew as a passer? And my answer to that question is, as far as moving the football, really nothing. And I mean, Gardner Minshew, we've seen his limitations throwing the football down the field, even on a wide open pass to Will Mallory. Listen, at the end of the day, it's just a touch pass. He's just trying to make sure he doesn't miss it. But you could tell the difference between an Anthony Richardson making that type of throw to Will Mallory and the Gardner Minshew making that type of throw to Will Mallory. There's just a difference in the physical attributes. But Gardner Minshew, Uncle Rico himself, never thrown an incompletion in his entire life. I like that against these Baltimore Ravens. Ultimately, when you think back, this is an offense that has torched us recently. A lot of guys that are on this defense were a part of that massive comeback, or rather, really blown lead. It was a comeback for the Ravens during the Carson Wentz season. So there's something there. I think the defense is going to show up. These Ravens, on the other hand, I'm trying to stick on the offense, blitz a lot. And Gardner Minshew is a master in the short and intermediate game. Well, guess where a quarterback needs to go when a team blitzes? Because when you're blitzing, you're bringing your linebackers. You need to start attacking that short and intermediate game. When you start blitzing, I trust Minshew to pick it up, and I trust us to move the chains quite a bit in this game. I think this will be the Josh Downs sighting. I think we see the Colts doing a lot of this work with Josh Downs over the middle. You kind of see them kind of pushing the linebackers over, and then you have Josh Downs kind of doing like these little slant routes, trying to get open over the middle. I think they're going to be there, and I think that Gardner Minshew is actually going to, goodness gracious, I can't believe I'm saying it. I think our offense fares better against the Ravens this week with Gardner Minshew at quarterback than it does Anthony Richardson. And I think what he brings to this offense that Anthony Richardson does not is the ability to consistently recognize what the Ravens will be throwing at him, which are these blitzes, which are going to leave these short and intermediate routes open, which is what I expect Minshew to see. This is a huge opportunity for Gardner Minshew, and the type of guy he is, I expect him to seize it. And I guess that's this episode. And I suppose I had this whole idea of making this 2 episodes. I suppose I could have made it 1 episode, but I'm going to make it a 2nd episode so you guys have something to watch this morning. I'll see you again later tonight, unless you're already watching this later tonight, in which case there may already be another episode out. But until then, my name is Justin. This right here is the Ride in the Bench Colts cast. Go Colts.